Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. We've got a moon in Pisces and the sun in Libra, and it's a little rainy, it's a little chilly. I'm not ready for fall. However, what I am ready to do is talk to you about unlocking the transformative power of astrology in your journey of self-improvement. So, how do you use astrology to help you improve yourself? That's such a big question. And what I'm loving is that we have so many tools these days to be able to access, to be able to find out how astrology can help us. And what I have found over the years is that astrology is really helpful as a map or a guide. Kind of like if you want to, here I am in Indiana, if I wanted to get to New York City, I know I could drive east and take the toll road, and most likely I'd get there. However, there might be some better ways. There might be some other ways that I could get there that I might not know of if I didn't have my handy little GPS on my phone or a map. You know, that thing that we used to use back in the day. We used to pull out our atlas, pull out the state, go from one state to the other and follow the lines. You know, I know things have changed quite a bit over the years, and astrology is the same. So it can really help us really be able to see if we've got some obstacles coming along our way. I really enjoy using astrology to more as like a weather meter. Each day we look at our clock or we look at our phone, we step outside, we can see that, you know, it's chilly out here, it's 65 degrees. With astrology, we are able also to do a temperature check, you know, to be able to see, like, instead of looking at our app to see what the forecast is going to be over the next week, we can use our astrology tools to see how are things affecting us. Is there, you know, when, like, for an example, right now Pisces is in, the moon is in Pisces, and so where is that in our chart? What house is it in? How is that going to affect us based on where it is? Is it aspecting or talking with other planets in our chart? You know, is it having an opposition? Is it having a square? Is it having a trine? Each of these aspects bring in a different energetic quality to how it's going to play out, which can also be really helpful. Since the moon moves very quick, it's usually if you're feeling a little extra emotional, which, you know, Pisces moon brings out some added emotion. So if you're feeling a little extra emotional, know that in a couple of days it's going to pass and you'll feel a bit more fiery as the moon goes into Aries. So astrology can be a really great tool to help us unlock keys in our life as well, unlock keys in our understanding of things that are going on. Like, for an example, when I was going through my Saturn return, it was very much a dark night of the soul for me. And that's often a time, you know, when you're between 27 and 29, when Saturn is going back to the place that it started in our chart. Saturn is the planet of, you know, our lessons, and, you know, it's just plays that role of being able to make sure that we're doing the hard work that we're supposed to be doing. Otherwise, he has a tendency to, he or she, depending on what rulership system you use, has a tendency to really lock down. You know, if you've been just scoffing off, not being responsible, don't really care about, you know, what's going to be happening, it's going to kick your ass a little bit harder than it would otherwise. It can also have some really positive, but what it does do is it brings those really big changes. And if you're wondering, like, oh my God, what is going on? Like, why am I feeling these things so intensely? Why is my life just kind of crumbling around me? It's a really great tool to see, okay, this is where this is going to end and transition to a new chapter. So over the years, I've been able to use astrology as a great way of being able to help me understand what cycles and chapters I am in my life, as it really allows that roadmap to occur. There's different types of astrology that looks at the chart differently. There's psychological astrologers, mundane astrologers, and each of them look at things a little differently. And so evolutionary astrologers, for an example, will use the story of Pluto in your chart as to see how you've evolved over time. Past life, future life, being able to take a look at the impact. So little old Pluto, which is it a planet? Isn't it a planet? It's definitely a planet in my book. It has a lot of weight in various systems. For an example, so we're really able to use astrology for self-discovery and to help ourselves transform and to be able to level up. So for an example, I am a Pisces, and my moon and rising sign are both in Gemini. I like to read. I like to keep things moving and in motion. And I have a tendency to pick things up and quickly move on to something else, and I get bored really quick. If I didn't know these things about me, and if I was around a lot of people that were very different, I might be wondering what's wrong with me. So astrology can be like, what's wrong with me? Why don't I want to ground in? Why do I have piles of books around me all the time and, just leafing through them instead of reading them front to back? So we each have our various personality traits that's very much derived from astrology. And there's also the cycles that are happening and evolving in the sky all the time, and they're affecting our astrology chart. And so if we're able to use those things and being able to look at what's going on and seeing how it's affecting us, then we can make some different choices. For an example, if Mars is conjunct my Mars in my chart, there might be some power issues or power plays that are going on. Or if there's a Mars-Pluto energy that's going on in the sky, I might not want to go into those extra dark places that might feel a little more dangerous. I'm going to be more on guard. So there's just a lot of different ways that we can use astrology in our day-to-day lives. One of my favorite ways, especially for new people, is to be able to use the lunar cycles, because the moon moves so fast. It usually just takes 2 to 3 months of following the lunar cycles to be able to see, the moon is in Pisces. I feel more emotional. However, I might feel more inspired. I definitely feel like taking baths when this moon occurs in this place each month. So you'll begin to see a pattern, because the moon moves through each sign every 2.5 days, and it goes through all signs within that 28-day cycle. So you have the opportunity to see how it plays out in your chart each and every time that it changes signs. And after a couple of months of paying attention to that, you'll recognize, like for myself, when Taurus is when the moon is in Taurus, it's in my 12th house. I know that I don't feel like being around other people. I feel like being by myself, not really engaging, not being, I definitely never feel like, let's take a road trip. It's never going to be that type of energy for me when the moon is in Taurus. I'm not going to feel like that. It's very much going to feel like, let me cozy in my comfy clothes, get under my blankets, pull out my tea, and read a book. It's going to feel like that for me each and every time. I just don't even plan on social commitments on those times, because most likely I'm going to be like wondering why I did it, and I'll probably try to figure out a way to cancel it because I'm not going to feel like doing it unless it's something really important. So it's definitely a great way to use the cycles as a guide to help you, and astrology is a great way to be able to use as a roadmap to your daily living, especially if you've got some hard things going on. I know for a good long while, there was nothing but hard things going on in my life. I mean, years. I was wondering, will this ever end? Fortunately, I'm on the other side of that. It has, it's way better. I'm not living in a day-to-day doom and gloom feeling, which I had for many, many years. However, during those times of whatever crisis or drama or thing that was going on with me, because I knew astrology, I was able to get a better understanding by looking at those cycles and understanding, okay, if I can just hold on and breathe through it, a couple more weeks, couple more months, I've got this, it'll be fine. And being able to see that light on the other side, which especially, if you're going through some big changes that are just really hard, it really feels good knowing that on X date, I'll be on the other side of this, and that energy is going to shift and it's going to feel better. I also really enjoy using astrology to look for good days, to be able to find, those opportunity days that occur. So, one of my favorite opportunity days is when the moon is aspecting Jupiter, wherever it is in the chart each month. And so being able to tie into that, it's really good to be able to do that, just to be able to maximize on the energy. We are always flowing through the energy all the time, whether or not we recognize it or not. The planets in the sky are affecting us all the time, whether or not we recognize it. And they're affecting everybody around us as well. So it's really being able to tap into that energy, maximize it, understand it, to be able to help us use it as a transformational guide to everyday living. Super helpful. So I am an astrologer. You can always hit me up if you'd like to schedule a time for a reading. You can also go to one of my favorite online resources, which is free, is astro.com. It's called, that's the short version of the website. The URL is astro.com. The name of the website is actually called Astrodienist. And it's, especially if you're just learning, it's a great way to be able to see what your birth chart looks like, to be able to see what's going on in the sky based on where things are in your chart. It will break those things down for you. It's a really good guide. It's something that I used for a really long time before I got professional software. So I highly recommend it. And it's kind of fun because you can save your friends and family's information in there. To be able to save, I think you can save up to 100 charts for free. So, it's a really good resource that I highly recommend. And so also, if you're just looking at seeing how the moon cycles are affecting you, doing that is like, an experiment for a couple of months. It's a great way it's a great tool to use for that also. You can print your chart out, be able to see what the cycles are in the sky, look at them together, and voila. And of course, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you found more keys to unlocking astrology in your life and how it can help you transform and move forward in your everyday living. And please consider subscribing and following me on my YouTube page, and or going to my website and signing up for my email list, so I can send you some tips and tricks to help elevate your life on a daily basis. So see you for now. Take care.